गजाननं भूतगणातिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम् आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् आर्तानामार्तिहन्तारं भीतानां भयनाशनं विशतां कालदण्डं तं रामचन्द्रं नमाम्यहम् रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताय पते नमः। कुजण्डं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीके मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं को न याति परां गतिं गोष्पदीकृतवारीशं वशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायणमहामाला रत्नं वन्देरिलात्मजम् अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकीशोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम्। Crown Prince, the son of Ravana, hungry for a fight, straining at the leash. Let me go, let me go. He's sitting. Ravana turned towards him and signaled to him with his eyes. Getting that indication from his father, the valiant Akshakumara, armed with a splendid bow decked with gold. Not a millisecond did he delay. He sprang up. He just sprang up. Valmiki says, like the fire in a Vedi, in an altar, in a Vedic altar, when all the Brahmanas are pouring oblations into it, it rises. Like that, Akshakumar rose. The great Rakshasa warrior got onto his chariot. Beautiful chariot. Burnished, polished gold in every part of it, looking like the rising sun. A chariot which had been earned by the accumulated punya of his tapas. Akshakumara's tapas. He had earned that chariot. That chariot, beautiful chariot with gold plating, gold flag staff, gold flag, all of that, encrusted with brilliant diamonds and other jewels. That chariot, to it were yoked 8 superb horses which were as swift as thought. He was unbeatable by the gods or asuras. He could move unobstructed anywhere and everywhere and along the sky. He could move. Akshakumara. He was ever ready for action. Ever ready for action. And that chariot of his had every provision for war. Quivers filled with arrows. 8 swords hung ready for use. Rows of spears, javelins, tomaras. The chariot was like the sun, filling the earth with the din of its movement. The horses neighing, the elephants trumpeting, the chariots rumbling. Along with his foes, he moved towards the ape which was seated on the gateway. Arriving at the place where the ape was seated, the ape who resembled the fire of dissolution, the Pralaya Agni, and was set upon destroying all Lanka. Akshakumara, the younger son of Ravana, the Akshakumara of lion-like looks, didn't attack him straight away. First he assessed him. And when he looked at him, he was filled with astonishment and regard of his enemy. And then, taking a firm stand, before you could say Ravana, he had hit 3 arrows at Hanuman. 3 sharp arrows had been shot at Hanuman. The ensuing fight between Hanuman and Akshakumara was unparalleled in its ferocity, rousing fear in the hearts of even the gods in Devaloka and Asuras on earth. ररास भूमिर्न तताप भानुर्मान्वनो न वायुः प्रचाचलः कपेः कुमारस्य च वीक्ष्य संयुगं ननाद द्वैरुदधिश्च चुक्षुभे. As the prince and the ape fought, the earth, rarasa bhumir, the earth groaned. The sun stopped shining. The wind stopped blowing. The mountain shook. The sky was filled with din and the oceans boiled. The oceans boiled. It was Hanuman versus Ravana's son, Akshakumar. Akshakumar, the valiant one, who was steady in his focus on the enemy. He took pure aim and his arrows always hit unerringly, and he lodged in the ape's head three arrows which were as sharp, they were powered with feathers, which were like these three arrows which are like poisonous vipers. He hit them on the ape's head, and the ape took notice. He took notice of Prince Aksha's terrific pace and power, and he was delighted. And in delight he let off a shout. He saw a shout of Hanuman like a peal of thunder. He roared, and Akshay Kumara, with the inexperience of youth intoxicated with power. The inexperience of youth intoxicated with power, he rushed towards the ape like an elephant rushing headlong into a huge well covered with grass. He rushed towards the ape. Maruti shot into the sky. He shot into the sky, and it was a terrible sight from the sky as he flung out his arms and thighs. And Akshay Kumara also rose in the sky, shooting arrows at him, arrow after arrow. The heroic ape, he moved along the pathway of the winds, and he was keeping himself free of the arrows. Swift as thought, Hanuman was gliding in between the arrows that were being shot at him. The son of Maruta looked upon Akshay with an approving eye. Akshay was blotting out the sky, shooting a shower of arrows, who was wholly focused on the fight, completely absorbed. That Akshay Kumara, Hanuman, was pleased with him. He approved of this fighter, and he thought and he pondered. Abalavat baladivakara prabha karotyam karma man mahabala nachasya sarvahava karma shobina pramapane me madiratra jayate. Abalavat. He is not like a kid. What he is doing is not something that a young fighter can do. Abalavat. Baladivakara prabha. But he is looking like the morning sun. Like the morning sun. Karma. Karotyayam karma mahan mahabala. He is doing incredibly strong deeds of great strength. I do not feel like killing him. I do not feel like killing one who is so brilliant in every field that he performs in the battle. Ayam Mahatma, he is a Mahatma. Ayam Mahatma cha mahacha viryata. Admirable valor. He is focused in battle. Absolutely focused in battle. And he is tolerant. Without a doubt, he is respected by the Nagas and Yakshas and by the sages, because I can also see that as he continues fighting, his strength increases, his prowess increases. But if I ignore him, he will surely gain the upper hand, because his prowess is increasing all the time. Therefore, I feel I must now dispatch him. Because one should not ignore a fire that is about to become a conflagration. Deciding this, Hanuman acted with lightning speed. Both were up in the sky. The chariot of Akshay Kumara with the 8 horses and Hanuman in the sky. With lightning speed, with the open palm, he just smashed the 8 horses one after another, and it killed them all. The 8 horses of Akshay Kumar's chariots. The great chariot was put out of action by the great ape and it simply tumbled down from the sky. And when it had tumbled down from the sky, Akshay Kumara abandoned that chariot and armed with a bow and a sword, he rose up into the sky. Valmiki gives a beautiful analogy for this. He says, Akshay Kumara rose up into the sky like a rishi, like a sage who had gained formidable power by his tapasyas and who had cast aside his body and was climbing up into the abode of the gods. Like that, Akshay Kumara rose into the sky. And there in the sky was Hanuman waiting. And when he came up, he rushed. In one swoop, he had caught Akshay Kumara by his feet. Firmly by his feet. And whirling him around 1,000 times. Like the king of birds, Garuda does a huge serpent, whirling him 1,000 times. He has smashed him onto the earth, back onto the earth. And the Rakshasa, the son of Ravana, fell on the ground. His arms broken, his thighs broken, his hip broken, his neck broken, his head broken, his body a shapeless mass, smashed, and his body parts scattered all over the battlefield. The Rakshasa fell dead on the ground. And to see this and applauding for this, all the Saptarishis, all the great sages, all of the skybound Siddhas, all of them were there, gazing in wonder. They were led by Indra himself. Akshay Kumara, Ravana's son, had been made a paste. They were all watching, gazing with wonder, wonderment, wide-eyed, the thousand-eyed Indra. Having thus destroyed Akshay Kumara, Daksha with the bloodred eyes, the heroic Hanuman went back to the same gateway for a breather, like death when the world of creatures has been destroyed. His son, his favorite son, his younger son, was dead. Ravana turned to Indrajit. What happened between Indrajit and Hanuman we will see in the next session. Today we will see some small upakathas, not in the main Valmiki Ramayana, but from some rare places that you may not have heard of. There is an 18th century work on Ramayana from Assam called Ganaka Charitra. In this work, Hanuman, when he goes to Lanka, he takes the guise of an astrologer. Because astrologers have access everywhere. And more than anybody else, kings, emperors, etc., they need astrologers. Will she marry me or not? Astrologers are needed. So now he went in the guise of an astrologer, and the story talks about how he confounded Ravana with his wrong predictions and all that. An astrologer with the wrong predictions can make your life hell. So there is a small story there. Ravana, he wanted to crush Sita's resistance. She was not refused. She was not listening to him. Hanuman had just arrived in Lanka. Ravana had a plan. He didn't know. He had a plan. His plan was by his Maya, he made a Rama and a Lakshmana. His idea was that these Maya, Rama and Lakshmana, he would take them in front of Sita. Their life would be in his hands. And in order to save their life, they would plead with Sita, say, you please marry Ravana in order that we may not be killed. Save my life, Rama would plead to Sita, please marry this wretched fellow, otherwise he'll kill me. This was a plan Ravana had. When Hanuman, he got the wind of something that Ravana is up to. So he, of course, he can take any form at will. He took the form of a bee and he hid among the flowers that were going up to Mandodari's apartment for her. Special flowers. So the flower was brought to her. Once it entered her Antapura, where she was there, it changed form and became a tomcat, a bidala. Mandodari saw a cat and she said, come, and wanted to give it some milk. Mewing at it, etc. This cat had come with a plan. So the cat simply attacked her and it scratched her. And she was wearing this manikyam, fantastic, beautiful jewel necklace. Tore it off from her, took it and ran away. Jumped out of the window and gone. And then, taking the form of the astrologer, landed up in Ashokavanika, where at that time Rama was begging with Ravana to spare his life. Sita was there. Rama was begging to Ravana to spare his life. The astrologer landed up and he was wearing that Manikyam necklace of Mandodari and stood there. Ravana saw. Ravana is not ordinary husband like you and me. He could recognize that necklace. He could recognize that necklace. So he looked at the astrologer, 20 eyebrows went up. Bloody hell, where did you get this from? So he said, a Gandharva gave me. A Gandharva is having an illicit affair with your wife Mandodari. He gave me. He said, what the bloody hell are you talking about? He said, why should I tell you anything? This is a fact. He gave me. I have done some service to him. He gave me this in return. He got it from Mandodari. They are lovers. If you don't believe me, go check. Go check. You will find scratch marks of love all over her. Ravana said, if I find you lying, you are a dead astrologer. But if you are telling the truth, the reward is yours. And he forgot all about that Rama pleading for his life, etc. Sita is left straight for his palace to check out his Mandodari. Quickly, that false Maya Rama fell away. Hanuman, in that one, he spoke with Sita, told all that has happened, etc., took her message, ready to go. A side part is, incidentally, Ravana goes and he confronts Mandodari. Where is that bloody jewel? And he sees all scratches in significant places and all. He says, my God, no, etc. Mandodari abuses her badly, right, left, and center, etc. One word she can't say anything, which he's not hearing anything. He simply goes on this thing at her and then walks away. And then she becomes, that treatise says, she becomes a virakta after that. And she spends her time doing Narayana Smarana only. There's no point. This fellow is not going to listen to reason. But then that fellow keeps on harassing her after that also. When he keeps on harassing her, at one stage, she swears on her satitva, her chastity, she swears on it. And then, and she on that vow, she says, if what I say is true, the earth will quake, and the earth quakes. The sun will stop, yes, the sun stops. He stops the sun, the movement of the sun, and Indra showers rain of flowers. And even after all this, Ravana's suspicion still remains. And then Mandodari gives Agni Pariksha. When she passes that, then Ravana is a little bit. See, Mandodari, Sita, etc., such is their purity, they are like fire. Fire cannot burn fire, so there is nothing will happen to them. Then she tells him that you don't understand, you are the one who has done the grievous wrong by kidnapping Sita, you must return Sita. And it was Hanuman who did all this scratching business. He came as a cat, etc. Then she tells him, that is from that story. Just as an Upakatha, there are some other Upakathas. We will see one or two little more here and there next time when we start, before we move on into the great battle of Meghnad and Hanuman.